And joining me now for what the residents of Ottawa can expect to see this weekend is the Mayor of Ottawa, Jim Watson. Thank you for being with us on Primetime Politics.
My pleasure. Thanks for the invitation, Mark.
So let's talk about what's happening this weekend with this Rolling Thunder Rally. What are you expecting to see?
Well, we're expecting to see a lot of motorcycles. It will be loud. We're going to do our very best to control where they can and can't go. They're not going to be allowed anywhere near the parliamentary precinct. Certainly Wellington Street in front of Parliament Hill will be blocked off for all vehicles. They can walk up on the hill and have their rally and shout and scream all they want, but we'll also have our hate crimes unit monitoring what's going on. If we see examples of hate crimes being committed, those people will be charged. So we're not giving warnings or slaps on the wrist. This is the public of Ottawa are fed up with what happened during the convoy. We have to do a better job, and I feel much more confident that our city response and the police response to this convoy will be better. And with these things, as you know, Mark, you can't count on something to go perfectly smooth, because there are people now coming from other parts of Ontario in cars and trucks, not just motorcycles. But the same rules will apply. If they want to get a $200 ticket and have their car impounded or their motorcycle impounded, they'll park in a no stopping zone. So we've circled the whole area of the hill. We've got more police officers out in residential neighborhoods, because those people, quite frankly, many of them are still dealing with the aftermath of the horn honking 24 hours a day for 3.5 weeks during the truck convoy.
Yeah, and obviously there's been a lot more preparation this time around. And are you confident that there's a much better plan in place than last time around, when it seemed to catch everybody off guard? And there was a period where I think residents of Ottawa, and indeed people across the country, felt like the police and others were kind of on their back foot.
Yeah, there's no question about that. I think we're much better organized. I have much greater confidence that this plan that we put in place is going to work, because we have the resources ahead of time. As you know, we worked very hard to try to get officers from the RCMP and the OPP. It took longer than we wanted to, and then we were able to move in with the truck convoy. And when we did, it was over basically Friday, Saturday, and wrapped up on Sunday. It was done very well. No injuries, serious injuries, no deaths. This time, just a few days ago, we swore in, I believe, 300 members of the RCMP as peace officers. We give them the power to arrest and deal with local issues here. And we have a large contingent of OPP, RCMP, as well as other municipal police forces. I know I saw York Region Police Car downtown just this morning, as a matter of fact.
So are you seeing a higher level of cooperation from other levels of government on this time around?
Yeah, I just got off the phone with the federal minister of public safety, and Marco and I had a good conversation. They've been very good partners. They're going to cover our costs of about $36.5 million that we incurred at the City of Ottawa for the truckers convoy. And there's going to be another bill coming from this one, because these people are here to protest. I think they're here to protest federal government policy, not the City of Ottawa. But that's one of the strange things about this protest. I can't figure out what they're fighting for. They want to take back the cenotaph. Well, the cenotaph was never taken from them. It's always been open and accessible. We put a fence around it because people were urinating and defecating and dancing on the tomb of the unknown soldier. That kind of behavior is not acceptable. And I think, what happened in February, really the public were disgusted with some of the activities, putting posters around the Terry Fox statue, urinating at the cenotaph, dancing on the tomb of the unknown soldier, taking food away from a local soup kitchen in the Byward Market. And we're going to have a much greater police presence in and around those neighborhoods, in Centertown and Lower Town, Sandy Hill, Byward Market, so that people understand that if you start seeing 4 or 5 of these motorcycles revving up, they're going to be told to leave residential communities. And if they park illegally, and if it's a no stopping zone, we have the legal authority to impound the car, and that's a pretty expensive bill for someone who owns a motorcycle, to get a couple $100 impound fee. Yeah.
And what are your thoughts about the future? And do you feel, and I know you've been around Ottawa for a long time, and know that there were times when you could drive your car onto Parliament Hill, where
That's right.
You could drive your car under the National Defence Headquarters. It feels like we're in a different chapter now in terms of the parliamentary precinct. Should we expect in the future that we're going to see these kinds of demonstrations, and do we need to be prepared for that to happen on a fairly frequent basis in the future?
I'm afraid that is going to be the case. In Toronto, I was watching a press conference with the chief of police in Toronto and indicated there are going to be 14 different rallies of various sorts, big ones, small ones, all over different parts of Toronto. These things are not only disruptive, they can be dangerous, and they're very expensive. And so we're going to have to be prepared. Obviously, as the nation's capital, we're used to protests, as you know, Mark. We probably have 700 or 800 protests, most of them relatively small. You don't hear a lot about them. They go up on the hill, they have some placards, and they leave. The big difference with the convoy, of course, they arrive, they block streets, they started putting up, temporary structures and hot tubs and everything else, and they just weren't going to leave. Well, the police have been told, loud and clear, by the chief, if you see any kind of permanent or semi-permanent structure that they're building or hauling up a barbecue or a hot tub, they're going to be confiscated and taken away, because we're not going to have that happen again for a second time. It turned it into sort of a carnival atmosphere. This convoy a few months ago, people in our community are still suffering the ramifications of being kept awake for 3.5 weeks with honking horns. And so we know that a lot of motorcycles can be very, very loud. We've mapped out a route for them to take that will keep them away from Parliament Hill, and then they can do their loop and then go back onto the 417. And our desire is to see them leave on Sunday.
All right, Mayor Jim Watson, thank you very much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you. Take care. Have a good weekend.